Welcome to Lesson 112, more on the multiplication of radical expressions. So far, the most complicated radical expression multiplication that we have seen has been something like this. And we know we just distribute from here to here and multiply and from here to here, and it looks like this. We just multiplied this number times each of these within the parentheses. And this ends up being 5 times the square root of 3 plus the square root of 36, which we know is a perfect square. That's 6 times 6. So this ends up being 5 times the square root of 3 plus 6. And that's the correct answer. Right? So that's as complex as we've gotten to date. So now we're going to get just a little bit harder. But you guys can handle it because you already know how to do this. And what this is a binomial distribution. So we have here 4 plus the square root of 3 times 5 plus the square root of 12. And all we're going to do is use the FOIL method of distribution multiplication to solve. So all that means is we say first, that's 20, right? 4 times 5 is 20. Outer, okay, so the first was 20. The outer is going to be plus 4 times the square root of 12. The inner is 5 times the square root of 3, and the outer, or the last, not the outer, the last two numbers is going to be the square root of 36. All right, so we already see some things that we can fix here. We know that 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. We can pull those out. And that's going to be 2 times 4. So that's going to be 8 times the square root of 3. Let's bring down our 20. And let's bring down our 5 times the square root of 3. And this is 6 times 6. So we can just bring down the 6. Now we can squish. 20 plus 6 is 26. 8 plus 5 is 13. They both have the same variable, square root of 3. Right? Easy peasy, you guys can do this. I'm very confident that you're not going to have any problems. So let's do another one. Let's do example 112.1. And it is going to be 2 plus the square root of 2 times 3 plus the square root of 8. So we're going to use our FOIL method, and our first answer is 6. Our outer answer is 2 times the square root of 8. Our inner answer, 3 times the square root of 2. And our last answer is going to be the square root of 16. Okay? All right, so let's see if we can simplify some of these radical expressions. We know that 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is a pair of 2s. It's a perfect square, so we can pull 2 out. So 2 times 2 is 4. So that leaves us with 4 times the square root of what's left, which is 2. All right, we can't change this one or this one. It's as simplified as it can get. But this one is 4 times 4, so we just have a 4 here. Now we can add 6 and 4, that's 10. And we can add 4 and 3, and that's 7 times the square root of 2. And that is your answer for 112.1. See how easy that is? You guys can do this. This is a piece of cake for you. I'm so confident that you are not going to have any issues with this. Let's do 112.2. 4 plus the square root of 5 times 2 minus 2 times the square root of 5. That's 8. It's negative 8 times square root of 5. That's 2 times the square root of 5. And that's 2 times the square root of 25. All right, so we can not reduce this, not reduce this. This is a perfect square. So we know that's 5 times 5, so we can pull 5 out. 5 times 2 is going to be a negative 10. All right, we'll just write the rest of this as it is. And we'll squish. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. Negative 8, positive 2, negative 6. That's the answer. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, or you're stuck, please contact me. That's what I'm here for. Let's move on. We have 2 more, and then we'll be done with lesson 112. Right, so on 112.3, we have 2. If you hear snoring in the background, it is my dog. He thinks it is nap time. And that is where you are hearing that. All right, so now let's do our first. That's going to be 6. Let's do our outer. That's going to be 4 times the square root of 2. Our inner is 3 times the square root of 2. And our last is going to be 2 times the square root of 4, because the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, right? Right. Okay, now let's see what we can reduce. We know that 4 is a perfect square, so that's 2 times 2. So let's take a 2 out of here. 2 times 2, that becomes 4. So now we can rewrite the rest of it. And we can squish. That becomes 10. This becomes 7 times the square root of 2. And that is correct. All right. Okay, this last one is a little tricky. And it is the square root of 2 times x, the x is not under the radical, plus the square root of 3 times y squared. Okay, everybody see that? All we're going to do is rewrite this again. So the square root of 2 times x plus the square root of 3 times y. And then again, 2 times the square root of x plus the square root of 3. Did I say 2 times the square root of x? It's the square root of 2 times x plus the square root of 3 times y. Right, and we're just going to distribute now. Square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. X times x is x squared. Square root of 2 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 6. X times y is xy. Okay? Square root of 3 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 6. Y times x is xy. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3, and y times y is y squared. So now we remember that whenever we have a variable by itself, there's an imaginary 1 in front of it. So we can squish and add these like terms together. So we end up with 2x squared plus 2 times the square root of 6 xy plus 3y squared. And that is correct. Okay, so pay attention to how these are written. Don't make the mistake of putting the x under if it's not supposed to be there. Okay? That's all I have for lesson 112. That's not bad. It's about 10 minutes. So I will see you guys in lesson 113. If you have questions, concerns, or comments, please contact me.